It's Spoilerin time, folks. This show is built on the back of Cord Killers. If you haven't watched Cord Killers, go watch that because you'll learn about the streaming services and the hardware and why they stream stuff and where they stream stuff. But then when you watch the shows, come back here because we get to talk about what happened in the shows we watched. This week, we're going to talk about Miami Vice, Season 3, Episode 10, Streetwise with Bill Paxton and Wesley Snipes. We're also going to talk about She-Hulk, Season 1, Episode 9, the season finale, and Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 3, Episode 8. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Yeah, dude. Let's dive in with Lower Decks.
So this is Crisis Point 2, Paradoxus, which starts on the holodeck, and Boimler has created a sequel to Mariner's holodeck episode, and it looks like it's just going to be a fun holodeck romp until Boimler gets called away for something and comes back all bummed out, and we find out, at least for most of the episode we think, that Boimler's transporter twin has been killed. But in fact, we find out in the post-credit scene that he's not been killed at all. He has been recruited into the Federation's secret intelligence agency, Section 31, which also has an entirely other series being built around Michelle Yeoh.
So there are parts of this episode I liked very deeply. I liked the fact that they did a nod to, this is the second time they've done movie tropes, so they make a specific kind of nod to Star Trek II Wrath of Khan's Genesis explanation sequence, including the film grain of the top secret stuff, and they even call out the graphics in there. But I was surprised to realize how much of this episode I just spent really kind of bummed, because if it's fine to go back and do a thing again, and it's fine to call out that you're doing a thing again, I found this episode not fun to go back to do a thing again, do the movie tropes, and then have the writer of it just depressed and sad about his own creation. I couldn't feel any joy. I just wanted to know what was bugging Boimler, and then what bugged him sounded like hack writing that I didn't believe. I didn't believe for a second that Boimler's twin. It was too good of a deal for them to just throw away. And sure enough, I was right. So I didn't experience a lot of tension. I did like that Tendi got the spotlight. I did. Nope, that's it. That's all I like.
I'll add, because I don't have too many different thoughts on that, but I will add that I really liked the Tendi B story because I like that bit where Rutherford isn't taking the game seriously and Tendi is. That was a fun little trope to play off of. And that Tendi gets, a little like, but of course you're great. That was a nice little B plot storyline. I liked the idea of Boimler having an existential crisis over his twin being killed. It didn't have to be that I was being fooled into thinking the twin was being killed. As long as Boimler believed it, that's all they needed to make it work. But I'm with you. Like, I don't know why, but I just didn't feel as bad about it as Boimler seemed to feel about it. Bryce, what about you?
They definitely, we haven't gone back to the Boimler clone since he left the show. So there's not a lot of emotional value I feel like we're supposed to walk into this episode with for that character.
Well, and the emotion roller coaster I went on was, oh my God, they're doing the movie thing again. They're going to build on it and make it even better. And instead, his existential crisis of his midlife crisis, the real casualty was not his twin. It was the movie. And I didn't get to have fun with the silly, outrageous movie thing.
And maybe that's the problem, is the movie was too good for this premise.
Or just this episode. Like, just do a whole episode where he gets a telegram saying your twin is dead, and then go fight aliens or something.
Literally anything else when he finds out his twin is dead and he gets all depressed. But you're right. Like, the Delta, I think the idea could be, well, they're having so much fun on this movie, and Boimler created this movie on purpose to have fun, that the fact that he doesn't want to do the action scenes is going to be kind of, it's going to be kind of disconcerting, and Mariner staying with him through that is significant. Like, it shows that she really is worried about him and really cares. That all makes sense to me on paper, but I think the movie is more fun than they think. And so you're like, yeah, but I know what you're trying to do, but I really just want to see what Tendy's up to in the movie, because the movie was pretty awesome. And
to be honest,
gosh, it sucks to be
you're
Boimler,
kind of
but
bumming me out.
yeah. And it goes to what Bryce is saying, which is they didn't do enough to remind us that the transporter twin is Boimler, right? Like, because they sprung it on us as a surprise, like, why is he so depressed? We didn't get to build up of like, we didn't get to see the reveal. Like, we have some news about your transporter twin. Oh, really? How's he doing? Oh, that guy. I hate that guy because he's the same as me, but he's better. It kind of bringing you back to that storyline. Instead, it was just like, well, we'll just assume that this would be an existential crisis, which again, on paper, I guess is kind of a fair assumption, but it didn't really play for me.
I think Cliff Singer in the chat nailed it. The very opening scene has Boimler in a badass bridge. And I thought, oh my God, we're going to see a Boimler's twin episode. This is going to be amazing.
Especially because they use the name Dagger.
Yeah, like not Boimler's regular name, right? Yeah, it was like, oh, he earned a nickname and all that stuff. Then I got the disappointing, but still like, oh, no, it's just a sequel to the movie. I like that movie episode. They'll probably make No, we're just going to be sad. And the thing that you were excited about at the beginning, we're taking that away from the show for good, or at least that's what we're going to tell you.
We're not.
And then, it just missed the mark for me.
It was fine. It was fine. I didn't hate it. It's like Brian always says, every Star Trek Lower Decks episode can't be the best one. There always has to be one that's at the bottom. I don't even know if this is the bottom. Maybe it is.
It's the least excellent episode of this season.
Here's a thought experiment. How much better would this episode and the story that it is telling be better if Star Trek never existed? Because I think the answer is it would be better. That is my guess as someone who watched this episode and went, they're saying a lot of stuff that I think I'm supposed to get, and I don't.
Yeah, the movie part, certainly.
All the references. I mean, I'm coming at this as a Trek outsider, but is this fun? Are the references and the callbacks, are they still fun? We're at season 3 of this show, and we're still Kirk and Spock and oh my God, and Deep Space. Like, is this fun? Like, actually, I mean, it's fine if the answer is yes. Is it? I don't know.
No, the answer is yes.
It's long in the tooth.
It is fun enough, but I think I can agree with you, Bryce, in that it's diminishing returns. Where every time they press the button works a little less well, and they have been pressing the button for 3 seasons straight.
I think the button works great every time for me, but they have been pressing it a lot. And the magic of Lower Decks has been that the button presses aren't the reason you like the episode. They're just cherry on top if you want a cherry on your sundae. If you, like Bryce, have never eaten a cherry before, then you may not want that, but you could still enjoy the sundae. This one, I don't think it relied on those, but it had a lot of them. And when you have the rest of the episode not feeding you as well. Granted, there's people in our chat room who are like, I love this episode. I thought it was subversive. And so for you, it's going to still work. But if you're not getting what you want from the main story, then those are going to feel more like empty calories.
Though I will say, I liked the Boimler story. I mean, it was interesting to be like, we're going to have this spectacle story and we're going to make sure we keep having that. And also we kind of are going to do a story about, bereavement and loss. But my frustration is that story was not, it isn't as well anchored. I think there's good stuff there. I think that's a good story, but I just think that making it Star Trek by having all of these references and allusions and stuff to other parts of the franchise, it just feels like a detraction for me. And I can't imagine, is it more valuable that we see Sulu versus random spaceman at
yes,
that one point?
Is. But if the rest of the story if you had been enjoying the rest of the story more, you wouldn't have cared.
Sure.
That's what I think.
No, but I like the story. I like the story in spite of those things. I don't know.
All right. Any other thoughts on Lower Decks 308?
No. He said disappointedly. I wish I did have more thoughts. I wish it would. Yeah.
No.
That is Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3, Episode 8. Let's move on to She-Hulk season 1, episode 9, the season finale. We start with Jen in jail. She has to wear an inhibitor to stop her from hulking out. She goes up to the retreat where she's going to just hang out with her friends and Emil Blonsky. And then all heck breaks loose, and she takes the fourth wall and smashes it. And Brian, as you texted me, she does the thing.
Yeah. So we've spent this entire season with me constantly talking about, in the comic books, they would really break the fourth wall, and they would resolve entire plot lines by just throwing the story out the window and just deciding to skip to the ending. They did that. And I went into this episode kind of like primed, not knowing whether it was going to be very bad or very good, because Bryce texted on our group chat saying some version of OMG She-Hulk and wouldn't tell me whether it was bad or good. And 3 seconds in, with that homage to the original The Incredible Hulk TV series, I paused it, and no amount of Bonnie telling me not to was going to stop me from playing the entire original 1970s intro with Bill Bixby for her. And I'm so glad I did, because frame for frame, shot for shot, it was exactly spot on. Everything about this episode was a total joy to me, up to the over-the-top twists and twists and twists. And then the fact that she points out, oh, wait, are you just enjoying candy dopamine hits from lazy writing? Let's knock this off. And she, I love this very, very much. It was very true to the comic books. It was very true to the She-Hulk that I imprinted on as a young man, and it's great.
I thought Kevin Feige as a robot was funny, but also disappointing. But also, I know they're not going to have Kevin Feige do a big, long acting scene, so I guess that's the best they could do. But every other thing about that entire scene, I thoroughly loved. Right down to her walking across the Disney lot, and Eileen and I poking each other and go, "Hey, that's where we waited in line for Black Panther. I know that place." That was really the Disney lot. I can swear to it. It was super fun. The head writer of the show was apparently in the room, even though she had insisted she didn't want to be in the shot, because they actually cast someone to play her who has the speaking roles, but then somebody was sick and they had to throw her in there. It's just a wonderful little vignette. Bryce, what did you think?
I like a lot of this episode.
Oh.
I don't like how fast they decided they needed to wrap this up. I feel like the Kevin stuff, all the Marvel, the fourth wall breaking stuff, great, high highs, very high highs. A little long, 6 minutes of a 22-minute show, okay. And then the resolution is just, yada, 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 the whole thing. And not, I wanted more of a resolution. I didn't need superheroes punching each other. I don't give a crap about that.
You wanted continuity, is what it sounds like to me.
We have our Spoilerin time thread in our Discord, discord.greatnight.tv, and a lot of the opinions that I saw in there, which did color mine a little bit, was just kind of rushed at the end. A cool idea with the going onto the lot and the Kevin thing. Like, I really didn't expect that they would cover as much of the stuff as they did. But
including the derivative super serum, kind of bit on the nose. I don't know, that meta commentary I rather enjoy.
That was great. No, that's all great. But then when we get back into it, of just like, whatever. It's very it is a little frustrating to be like to not get a recentering after that moment of like, okay, this happened. And now we're moving on.
You wanted continuity. You wanted, from the moment she broke the wall, to come back and have it stitched up with what happened before somehow, or change things, or explain how she got to the end, instead of just coming back from the fourth wall and being at the picnic.
Yes, like I thought she and Matt Murdock have a great dynamic, but they're dating, or they're go into family events together. A little ambiguous to me. I don't know.
Well, remember last week, I think I commented that because it's television, we can't keep nice things. And I knew that as much as I enjoyed the Matt Murdock hookup, that it wouldn't last. But instead, it's like, no, you get just a little bit more candy. We're gonna add that a delightful little fantasy that they end up together. Whether or not there's a season 2, we'll see where that goes or what have you.
But that's not a thing. That's not like deciding the story. Like, I don't know. In a franchise of like all of your friends have superpowers and they're all talking to each other and they're Game Master Anthony coming in all at the one movie every decade. I don't know. It just felt like a little bit of a whiff on the actual ending of the episode.
For a show that goes out of its way to give a literally or a figuratively transparent voice of the writer's room every single episode. The fact that on the last episode it crawled up its own butt and then showed the writer's room who give a voice, and then they eviscerate themselves.
That's good stuff.
And then just shrug. And it's like they've pleaded all season long for us to please understand that this is a lighthearted. It's Ally McBeal is all they've been saying, and to me, that ending kind of put the money where their mouth is. It's like, yeah, no, we mean it. All of us, forget all that. We're just a lighthearted legal dramedy.
But it's not. It also still has to be a Marvel thing. It is still beholden to like having. No, come on. Let me tell you, having the Abomination be a part of this, and he's still got to go to jail. Like I actually was glad that the Abomination story wrapped up of like, okay, well, you were turning into the Abomination, so you have to go to jail now. Like we have to close a thread in this show instead of just opening 8 new ones and leaving them hanging. And Brian's doing the smirky thing. That's fine. I don't have any judgments on anyone else's judgments, but that end was just too rushed, and all of the great stuff about it evens out a little bit, but
This reminds me of criticisms of art movies in the way that someone who's really into an art movie and like knows the director and the history of the picture and the tradition of the film that it is in goes and watches and loves it because they know that the buzzing sound that lasted for 6 minutes was a reference to this thing in the 60s that, and the other person that goes and is educated and familiar with film, but hasn't fallen in love with this director as much or this style of filmmaking is like, man, that was just a bunch of noise. I did not enjoy that. I understand what they were getting at. I did not enjoy it. That's what this feels like. And this is not to say that any one of our perspectives is better than another, but that I think Brian and I are coming at it from a place of, I didn't really care about the story. I only cared about the fun, and it was super fun. And I'm not sure it would have been made more fun by going back and telling me more things that happened to lead to the picnic at the end, because I can imagine how they would get there. And what Bryce is saying is, no, it would have been more fun for me. I had ideas and I had thoughts, and yes, I enjoyed the mashed up ending, but I feel like they cheated me because they left out part of the story that I was invested in. Is that fair?
I would say so, at least as far as my take, Brian.
Yeah, if I could layer another metaphor on that, it's like, look, man, Tony Hawk does a 1920 or however many twirls in there. I don't care how sloppy he lands it. On technical merit, he gets the bonus multiplier.
But he has to land it.
Yeah, and he did for me. They actually published this. It exists on Disney Plus. I am gobsmacked
and the wheels are
by
on the
this.
ground. That is one thing I'll say is at the end.
I don't disagree with any of that, but you're just ignoring my criticism of this, I feel like.
Yeah,
well, no, I'm just not feeling it. I mean, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's how we got to that ending, not the fact that there was what it was or what it wasn't, right?
I mean, I think the ending is concretely weak. I think the text of it is weak.
I really enjoyed seeing everybody happy having a meal at the end.
And I'm not saying I didn't, Brian. Thank you. But like, okay.
No, I mean it's She-Hulk.
I don't
bro.
think Bryce is alone in this either, because
Oh,
I'm
no.
seeing a lot of folks in the chat too. Yeah.
Yes. The only thing I disagree with are the words have to, has to, needs to, must. That's the only thing I disagree with.
I guess so. Yeah. I don't have a they should have or must have or whatever. I just thought what they gave me was rushed at the end.
Yeah, yeah. All right, that is She-Hulk season 1, episode 9. Let's move to Miami Vice. We are back to the rewatch with season 3, episode 10, Streetwise. If you're new to our Miami Vice rewatch, what we do is we pick episodes that have interesting guest stars. So we're not watching every single episode of Miami Vice. We're going to jump around from time to time. And this episode's guest star that was cited was star of Aliens, Twister, Titanic, and more, Bill Paxton. But what was not in my notes until the opening credits was this also starred Wesley Snipes. And it was an episode about prostitutes. That's what it was. And it included a sort of a half singing cop video at the beginning where they were playing a track that had some speaking in the track over the but instead of it just being in the background, one of the characters of Miami Vice was speaking the words that were in the music track. Brian, how much did you love Miami Vice?
I was a little bit confused for the first 5 minutes. I thought, is this episode about prostitution? But yes, I was mainly confused by the fact that it was a music video and a character who we've seen for episodes and episodes years before is suddenly singing a music video that is meant to be some kind of freeform, interpretive,
I was like, is that really Trudy? That's Trudy.
Right. But also it's like, she's not a prostitute. So why is she going around saying,
I have
you do know
information.
that she goes undercover, right?
I know. No, that's established. Sorry. Go ahead, Bryce.
Streetwise is a song by Don Johnson recorded exclusively for Miami Vice.
So much more makes sense.
Has never been released on any album, but it was as a B-side on the 12-inch version of Don Johnson's Heartache Away single.
I had that single at one time. Oh, I'm so sad. I don't think I have it anymore. That's so sad. I would play it.
Twitter? Where did I see this? Somebody posted a photo of their spouse on set. I probably recording that song with like the bassist from a famous band and
oh wow
and the guitarist for another.
Olivia Brown provides the spoken word segments and performs these lines live in the episode in which the song is used. So it seems highly probable it was recorded exclusively for Miami Vice. Whoopi Goldberg sings background vocals on the song.
What?
Stevie Ray Vaughan plays lead guitar.
That's what it was. Yes.
Wow.
Why? Okay.
So that I thought that was just Olivia Brown lip syncing to a track. They made the track for her to walk around lip syncing.
Yes.
Lip syncing to her own voice, basically. Yeah.
Also,
And then they play it at the end with the voice.
This was directed by the director of When a Stranger Calls, which I believe is the horror movie that has the whole the calls coming from inside the house, and then also the 2006 remake of When a Stranger Calls. This episode was weird. I definitely caught a scene where what's his name's job? His one job is to flash a badge. And he clearly fails to flash his badge. But they just decided the take was good. Yeah, Switek, that's right. They just decide it's good enough.
Keep going.
So basically, if you read it literally, a bad guy has somebody walk up and he was like, whoa, man, I don't want any trouble. And he shows his wallet and the guy goes, I want out of here.
That's a wallet.
It's amazing.
And that wasn't the only flubbed line that made it into the final cut, where they're like, that's the only take we got. Like, just go with it. Fine. It's broadcast TV in the 80s. What are you going to do?
This story was also, little continuity things that I can't not see now, having worked in video for long enough. Like there's definitely a very awkward, bizarre position Wesley Snipes' body lands in, but the next scene shows the classic dead person outline of one arm up, one arm down.
It was like, that's definitely not how he, I don't even think he was laying there. It was like in a different place in the parking lot too. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a weird one that strained credibility in a lot of ways. And if I was going to make up a cartoon of what Miami Vice would be, before we started our deep dive, this would have been how I would have portrayed it. And I think I'm happy I watched it. I don't know.
Wesley Snipes was great.
Oh yeah.
In it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel like Don Johnson is starting to become Don Johnson in these episodes now that we're in the third season. But some of those scenes between Philip Michael Thomas and Wesley Snipes were amazing.
This is also the first time we've watched an episode of Miami Vice in a very long time. So there were some old friends that we got to see again. For example, the half-second pause between each line, the faces too close in 4/3.
What was the shots that was just like on their hands while they were talking, and their hands weren't doing anything significant?
For like a super long time. I remember thinking, they must just have overdubbed different dialogue because they ran into production difficulties, and just like get some hands and we'll just have everyone VO
just
this.
Zoom in on the hands so we don't see the mouth, and then it'll be artistic.
What did you guys think about the ending? That it all seemed like it was for naught, given that Carla went back to hooking.
That was actually, in a very clumsy way, the kind of okay part of the storytelling, in that it's like it's an endless, vicious cycle. There is no getting out,
and it does. It does show that Miami Vice was committed to, there are no easy answers. Like, we're going to try to show more realistic stories. Certainly not as realistic as most of the stuff you get today, but very obviously, but still, like, it's not going to be like, and she went off to live as a happy person for the rest of her life because the Miami Vice squad saved her. Like, it's not only like, was it worth it all? He died. And it was, if there was anything that was worth it, it was getting her out of her. But I don't know if that was enough. And then just hitting us in the face with, also, she didn't stick with it because she's addicted to this life. She doesn't know anything else, and she isn't comfortable anywhere else.
I'll tell you who definitely lived happily ever after are the two extras in the background of the police station who are just constantly nodding and agreeing with each other for like 3 minutes straight. It's amazing. Extras. Watching the extras is the best part of the show.
I want a spin-off of just those two, their story, and why they so violently agreed with each other.
Also shouts out to the production capabilities of, all the hose down sets, the fact that these are old school Detroit cars that are big and heavy and super dangerous, that are spinning around, skidding out on there.
One of the goofs of this episode, that a wiki is telling me, is that Crockett's Ferrari is, and I did see this, is very clearly changed out with a different older rare car so that they wouldn't get a Ferrari damaged.
Oh, that's amazing.
Also, okay, here's an interesting thing. I saw this on Wikipedia. Maybe this will color your next time watching Miami Vice. Apparently, they had strict design guidelines for the show, and so there are no earth colors really anywhere. And I think that's why Crockett's Ferrari is not red but is white, because one of the things they said is like white, browns, reds, earth colors. We don't use it. Give us other stuff, because otherwise, Ferrari gave them these Ferraris to shoot with. You would think they would be red.
I assume that the reason they blew up his previous car is so that Ferrari could advertise their new car and make that the cool car. And
the previous one wasn't even a Ferrari. That's why they blew it up, because they were going to get Ferraris.
That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, right?
Everything about this archaeological dig is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm looking at this wiki. I can't believe that they even took the time to document this, which makes me wonder how many other episodes have this. But Tubbs fires 13 shots from his 5-shot revolver.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's Hollywood rules. Although I was more shocked at Tubbs just just manhandling and beating the crap out of Wesley Snipes, and making threats and holding them at gunpoint. And I was like, wow, man, they're really off the rails here.
I was a little worried at the one point when he is pretending with Carla to be a pimp and she's challenging him, and he knows like the only reaction that doesn't blow my cover is me hitting her. And I'm like, is he going to actually like stay undercover? And then he I had to tell her I was a cop.
I'm sure it was very comforting to see that authority figure symbol after she got manhandled. Yeah.
I mean, how many times have we talked about, the idea of police just running around shooting people would not make the TV shows of today.
Granted, she was dating a dirty cop.
I was wondering, like, I couldn't decide if the only reason they pulled back is this was a broadcast TV show, or if Tubbs would have done that. If Tubbs would have been like, I can't hit her. I can't do that. I can't take it that far.
I mean, to be honest, I was uncomfortable. Like Tubbs has been kind of the nice guy, cool one, the all charm, and I got this, likable bad guy. Whereas, Don Johnson would always be or what's his undercover name?
Crockett?
Yeah. No.
That's his real name.
Skinny.
Starts with a B. Not Beckett or.
Yeah. It's Beckett and Mariner.
No, okay.
Boimler.
It's my fault. I walked into that. But Philip Michael Thomas is the one who's always
Sonny's. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. But normally his MO is to be charming and likable, and I didn't like him being mean. So there. Yeah. Stop being so mean.
Stop being mean to my favorite prostitutes.
Any other thoughts on Miami Vice 310? Streetwise.
Do we mind paying for it now? Buying them?
Good question. Yeah. So we talked about this in Cord Killers. The fact that it is no longer available, not only just not on Peacock or the NBC app, it's not available anywhere for streaming. You have to buy it and download it. I don't know. On the one hand, because I do this show, I pay for so many streaming services that I'm like, God, really? You couldn't have it on one of them that I have to pay for so I can keep tabs on this stuff? But if I was in more of a restricted situation, I might be like, you know what? Sure, I'll pay $30 for the season. That's better than having to go on an ongoing basis and pay for some service that I'm going to get roped into paying all year long.
I think I'm still... I paid for Peacock, and then they, despite saying it's ad-free, had ads for Peacock every single break. I don't miss those going away.
I don't miss that.
Maybe that alone is worth $2 per hour.
Yeah.
They're good quality rips.
Yeah, they are.
That's whatever. Yeah. On the iTunes thing, it works.
Transfers, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Perks to the rips.
I mean, in my eyes, it looked better than the versions that they had on Peacock and the NBC app, but
Sonny Burnett, that was his undercover name.
Thank you, Ambassador Domo.
Thank you, Ambassador Domo.
Well, next week, if you're watching along with us, skip ahead to Miami Vice 316. So we're jumping 6 episodes down the road. The episode is called Theresa, and our guest stars will be Helena Bonham Carter.
Wow.
And Brad Dourif.
Who's Brad Dourif again?
From Deadwood, the doc.
Oh my goodness. That's right. Is it his daughter is a famous actor now, right?
And he was in way more than Deadwood, but Deadwood's what we've seen him in on Spoilerin Time most recently.
Wait, yeah, he was his daughter
Grimmel Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings as well.
Isn't his daughter Russian doll?
You tell me.
Main character?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's right. I'll check it. Never. I'll just say things that I believe to be true.
Sonny Burnett.
Christina Dourif and actress Fiona Dourif.
Oh, two daughters.
Yeah.
Miami Vice.
That is Miami Vice Season 3, Episode 10, Streetwise. Once again, next week, Miami Vice 316. The episode is called Theresa. We'll also be talking about Lower Decks Season 3, Episode 9, and because we have a little break in the action while Rick and Morty's on hiatus, we're going to be watching Moonfall. This is Bryce's choice for us to watch. So everybody go watch Moonfall and circle back here for the group talk next week. Thanks to everybody for supporting us. You get these episodes early if you're at patreon.com/cordkillers. And as Bryce mentioned, you can get into our Discord and chat with us there as well. Thanks everybody for supporting us. Thanks for watching. We'll spoil you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.